What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? Well, Robert Jeffries and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, a Sliders recap with Rain Coleman and Robert Jeffries II. What's up, y'all? We are back. We are back with the finale of the year. Like I don't know what the hell. Y'all, this is Stumbling Through the Multiverse podcast. This is the official, I don't care if it ain't, it is. If you listening to this, the official Sliders review show. But my God, we are at episode 10 and I am excited, got thoughts, but I'm also like sad. So
yeah.
I'm your co-host, Rain Coleman, Carefree Blair. You know what's up. And then I have the orchestrator of this thing. What's up, Robert?
the mad scientist, right?
Man.
The mad scientist like Quinn Mallory. I'm co-host Robert Jeffrey, super fan of Sliders.
Hey.
Going back to 95, I dragged I didn't drag, I put out the call to review this. I always say like this and 4400. Those are two shows I reached out to Rain about possibly reviewing. So we are, like you said, 10 episodes at the end of the first season 1.
It feels, I don't say it feels longer. There's something, it feels like something, I don't know what it is exactly. Like, I got my thoughts about the episode, but like making it to 10, I don't know. There's something here. I don't have the words for it yet. But we're going over episode 10, season 1, Luck of the Draw. This is, I haven't been saying this, but I think this aired May 17th, 1995.
Yeah.
So in this one, Wade wins the lottery on the perfect Earth. But when the prize isn't anything like she expected, the Sliders find themselves on the run for their lives. Okay. So, do you think that's a good synopsis of the episode?
I mean, it's a good synopsis, but they are giving stuff away. Like it just, and that's and because the thing that I notice is that summaries are different on different platforms. Like are you reading like the Peacock one, right?
No. This actually, I guess I should have did that. No, this one came straight from good old Google.
Okay, so no, you're good. You're good. It's just I think, and this is it's a good summary, but it also gives some stuff away. And I'll get into like kind of initial, I'll piggyback off of that, give my initial thoughts. This, and it still is, this is one of my favorite episodes. And part of that being because, which I think the summary, there's mystery into what's happening. And I think that summary kind of is just like, leave something into the imagination or whatever, but this is because of what goes down. This is one of my favorite actually episodes of the series, but then definitely of the first season. And I doing this like the rewatch with us going through it.
Yeah.
There were things definitely that I'm like, okay, they could have done better with, but I don't know, for some reason this is still kind of holding strong for me.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah. So,
that's fair.
I think they need to be consistent with those summaries.
It would be nice. Yeah. I have some critiques about the beginning part, but overall, initial thoughts, I will say initially I was like, nah. But now that I've sat with this episode, I think this was probably the best episode to have as a season finale. I truly do. Like I at first I was like, I don't like, but I think it was too new because I make sure not to watch things until we're about to record. and this is my first time ever seeing this show. And my initial feelings after the show ended, they were too raw. I didn't have enough time to sit with them. But now that I have, I'm like, I critique aside, I do think this was the best finale, the best episode to have as the finale. Overall, I enjoyed this episode. I I think some stuff was spoiled too soon.
Yeah.
But I did like this episode. I thought this was really, it almost felt like it could have been 2 hours. Like this could have been as opposed to the pilot, this could have been an episode you actually drew out for like, but whatever. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Mm.
So let's slide on in. Season finale. I'm sorry if you the hashtags. I'm sorry, I didn't know if I overstepped.
Bro,
I feel bad. But hashtag STTM pod.
Hey, there we go. There we go.
STTM pod. So look at the draw. We open up with the sliders sliding into San Francisco. And the thing that you immediately see is that this doesn't look like a major metropolitan area. I don't know if the budget allowed, but they filmed they filmed in a different part of Canada. I don't know if it was like I'd be interested in seeing where this is at, because it has kind of like a small town type of vibe. So that's one thing that you immediately notice. So everybody, the typical gag of everybody slides, they land on each other or they land on the ground and they're hurt. But Quinn slides first and he sees a dog. And then when, Wade gets there, Wade is like, I got a dog now, right? So it's just like, she says later when she's talking to Professor, the only person in the group who apparently hates animals, and it seems like on par with him. She says that she misses her cat at home. So, this dog is out there. So the dog is there for this episode. And I'll leave it at that, because I don't think the dog is with them for any more of the series. So the walking through the city, very picturesque. I call this Lottery World. And in addition to that, Wade has started keeping a journal, for the last episode of the season. It's just that thing of like these are the types of things that I wish that y'all had established like 5 episodes ago or 9 episodes ago, because we would have been able to get that personal insight from her leading up to this. So she's keeping a journal and she's talking about the world. She talks about how there are, San Francisco is like a small town. She says there's no crime, no pollution, no racial strife, which was really interesting.
I'm like, all right.
Yeah. And, I was like, well, there might be no racial strife because I don't see any minorities in this.
There we go. There we go.
So it's like you can't have strife with any races, other ethnicities, if you don't have them in the city.
I mean,
aside from the one black woman that we see later on. And so, but the other thing they notice is that everything is cheap, so they buy some food. When the professor goes to buy something, he notices he doesn't have his wallet anymore. And then a kid walks up and gives him his wallet. And they're like, oh, this is just nice. Everybody's given, cheap prices, no racial strife amongst the Caucasians. And it's just like, so it's like, this is paradise. And so the other thing that they find out about, and the dog's name is Henry, she calls him Henry, is that there's a ATM machine which gives people money for playing the lotto. So in this world, if you play the lottery, then you have a chance you get free money in whatever amount you want, and then you have a chance to win more money. And so they talk to there's this guy standing there. And they ask him, and they get the guy gives them the rules or whatever, and says this is what the more you take, the more chances you have of winning. So the professor says, we know nothing about this world, the rules of this world. Let's be cautious. And Remy and Wade, the thing that I like though about this is, and we've spoken about this, if you pair up each person of this group,
Mm-hmm.
Wade and Remy would probably be the ones that would be kind of hanging out, and we
Yeah.
see that here, and so they're the ones who are excited about playing this game. So Remy gives what he does. He goes. They show the perspective of him, the camera looking at him. He says, "Rembrandt Brown, Motel 12, whatever, room 12. I'm gonna take
Mm-hmm.
5,000. Wade takes 1,000, and the professor takes $5. Quinn ain't saying he ain't taking shit.
Hey.
So Quinn ain't taking shit. He is Captain Hesitance. So
No, yeah.
Professor, apparently at this point we learned the professor doesn't like dogs, and that's what's what. So as they walk away with their money, these two guys were there, and then he said, "What the guy who was talking to them says." You gotta admire those high rollers. May they rest in peace. And it's just like, wait, what? And that was one of the things about this episode. There's some stuff that's on the nose. There's a lot of stuff that's on the nose. So let's talk about this opening. This leading up to the credits.
Oh my god. Yeah, the professor is fucking annoying. I'm sorry, like I liked him initially because I'm like, yeah, it is kind of
Yeah.
hard ass uppity, but every world he proves to me that he is the worst human imaginable. Like it watching him makes me realize that the attitude that the students had about him at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of the pilot episode 1 was warranted. You are insufferable. You
Yeah.
are a terrible person to be around. I would not want to be stuck sliding with him. God. The opening though was pretty cool. I
Mm-hmm.
liked exploring this world. And then for me, I've been to California, but I've been like as a child.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, yeah, this does look like a small town, but hell, maybe it's a part of California I've never been in. And it's not. Like you said, this is Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, adjacent or something.
Yeah.
And it felt really this felt this this opening made me mad, not because of anything it did negatively, but it it I don't know if it's because we've spent 9 episodes with them or if it is done so well, but I felt more at ease watching this opening. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I know this is the last episode of the season, but like as far as all of the openings have gone so far, this feels like you're not doing, oh no, what am I trying to say? It feels like I am buying into the world you're
Yeah.
providing me here. It doesn't feel like this is Russian America. Look at this here. Look at it. Didn't feel aggressive. It felt like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is, and the only thing I have to compare it to is kind of like 1-in-1 is probably what is it, the Love and Peace type shit.
Yeah.
But this it felt good. Like even if it was just an episode how the X-Men get like one issue to play baseball before they have to go get their ass whooped. That's what this
Yeah.
felt like. So honestly, all of the opening until the ATM scene, I thought was perfect. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, this man gave your wallet back. Y'all fussing about even the professor fussing about the dog. I'm really not mad at that, but it's like,
Mm-hmm.
killjoy. This ATM thing to me was a weird. Okay, I wrote down something, and what I want to know is and this is really meta. What
Mm-hmm.
impact do the sliders have on other worlds by spending money that is not of that world? Like you're pumping, be
Mm-hmm.
it $5 or be it $500, you're pumping this money from a different world with different serial numbers that could show up counterfeit. Like I'm like, what? But specifically, this scene pissed me off when that man said, "Oh, may they rest in peace." We didn't need to know that.
Yeah.
We didn't need to know. With
Yeah.
4 minutes in.
It just there's other things in the dialogue that I think are a little bit more subtle
Mm-hmm.
that gives you this ominous vibe, and it's
Yeah.
not done with lines like this where it we don't have the episode playing right now, but if you watch it, he says the line and then they play this ominous music and then it cuts to the credits. So I think that this is why I'll tell you right now, this doesn't get like a perfect like
Yeah.
10 for me because of
Yeah.
stuff like this. But there are times, and I'll bring it up as far as the dialogue, where it works a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because at this point, you're just like, well, fuck. I mean, something bad is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
The other thing, to the other point you were saying, as far as the city, I enjoy the fact that it looks different, because
Yeah.
you do get the feeling that in earlier episodes they're filming in like the same downtown area,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where there are literally locations that they travel to in multiple episodes, which stand in for different things in different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
This one just looked nice. It looked
Yeah.
nice, and it was just small and like a small town type of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I forgot to mention was that they see a billboard that says birth control in a can. So
Oh,
it's like yeah. There's a sign where two people are drinking soda, and it's like kind of a Coke ad, but it says BC birth control in a can. So that, once again, it's not as on the nose
right.
as may they rest in peace, those high rollers. So at least they didn't give like exposition horribly like
You're right.
Amish woman and
Yeah.
the Rembrandt fan, So one of them had a
Yeah.
cool, weird mullet ponytail going on. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, man, this is the '90s. So, anything else from that scene? Are you good to go?
No, I guess my only, and this may be nothing. What is Wade wearing on her head? Like this,
Hey,
like
it's she got that bandana. She got.
that, this Blood Crips meets Bollywood fucking boho white woman. I was like, where you get this scarf at?
I
Your
like
bald
it.
head
I mean,
still. I
it
mean,
was just. It was it was a change, because they had Rembrandt wearing that same tired '70s attire for like 5
man,
episodes, and then they finally decided to put the brother in a button up and some jeans or some slacks.
which
I mean, if I was a professor, I'd be pissed, because they keep having me dressed like the same professor. Like, imagine the cost of having to buy a bow tie, a shirt, a suit jacket, and rather than just some pants and some t-shirt and a t-shirt.
man, you could put on a tracksuit and a t-shirt. We don't like this is. But yeah, that's it. I was okay with whatever.
But yeah, no, that was something definitely. In addition to the journal, they
Oh, I don't want to hear about that composition book. That never, man.
So we after the credits run and we get the sliders, they show the the crew running through still walking through the city, talking. The dog is being so cute. I'm a dog owner, so I thought the dog was actually probably one of the better parts of the episode.
Yeah.
They picked up a picnic basket and walk up to ask. One of them asked this older gentleman, where can we find a taxi, or where can we get a taxi? And he's like, hey, take one of the public cars. And so they see these like 3 cars just sitting there, and apparently you can just drive. You can just pick up get a car and drive it wherever you want. And it's like I think it's something offered by the government, offered by the city. So they drive to a park, and this is like stuff that I love. Just quiet moments of just being able to kind of chill in these worlds, not be ducking and dodging. I mean, I love the adventure side of things, but them just kind of chilling in the park and enjoying themselves for like this first of 3 days just kind of worked for me. So because it gives them a chance to decompress. So they're chilling out there. One of the things that they learn from, I think, magazines or like an almanac.
Yeah, almanac.
Yeah, of the world is that there are only 500 million people in this world, and in San Francisco alone, there's only 100,000 people living in the city. So the professor, Wade, decides to, she wants to go horseback riding, and I don't think Quinn has ever done it before, as we obviously see. Remy and the professor decide to go fishing, and I think the first thing we see is the professor and the Rembrandt and I'll just talk about that scene first because there's a little bit more with Quinn and Wade.
Yeah.
They go fishing. I think Professor had said something like the English invented fishing. I was like, okay, motherfucker. And so his reel goes into the as he tries to cast it into the trees, and Remy starts laughing, and Remy's not being interrogated and laughing this time, and he tosses the reel into he basically casts better, and then that's the comedic scene. Quinn and Wade are horseback riding. Quinn hits the hell out of a branch. I actually thought I was hoping that he wasn't dead. That was a hell of a hit. And so he falls down. Wade comes over and she uses her bandana. Actually, that's why she had it, so that she could she could use it for the wound that he had. And as she's doing this, Quinn is just like checking her out, and he's like, yeah, I've never seen you in this light. I'm like, well, I guess it takes either the end of the world to be happening in slow jazz, or you getting hit upside the head while horseback riding. So, and she says, I thought we said we weren't going to do this. I'm like, what the fuck? When did this happen?
Okay.
They had never had this conversation.
Ever.
So, and Quinn doesn't say anything, but Wade is like, let me move it along. And she says that she loves this world. She says, what do you think about staying? And Quinn ain't bobbing with the idea. He's just like, something's just not feeling right about this. And I'm going to get us home, so, and Wade is like, I'm tired of sliding. She says that she is overall they've been avoiding this topic and of talking about the possibility of not getting home.
No.
And apparently the issues just kind of been hanging out there. And Quinn is, I don't know, like it's this weird thing of like I can accept this part of the conversation where there's been this vibe of them being like, when are we going to get home? But then before that, you have this thing about the relationship discussion that they didn't have. So I'll go out and knock out the next thing. So they show them back at Motel 12. I love the name. So one of the things that they, as we see with the other previous episodes, is that they watch the news to kind of catch up. The news and the almanac seem to be the two, go-to things, which I actually like now to think about it. So on the news, they talk about, they're talking about these protesters called Right to Life extremists, and they are protesting at this Center for Sexual Ethics and Education, and how they're protesting the lottery. So, or just protesting in general. And it's after that we see the professor talking about, and one of the things that's mentioned is this guy named Thomas Malthus. And what the professor explains to I think Quinn and Wade is that he was a philosopher or a professor himself in their world who felt that mankind would suffer from overpopulation. And so apparently his ideals were taken to heart on this world. Remy apparently cooked a big ass fish that he caught and the small fish that the professor caught. And then they're watching the lottery as they're about to eat this this food. And they do the lottery, and the first winner we see is this lady named Julianne Murphy. And also what you can win is $5 million and this thing called white card privileges. That's what I wrote it down.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Privileges. So Julianne Murphy, she's a Black woman. They show her, and she Remy like perks up. He's like, oh, she's beautiful. And then Wade is the next winner. They announce her as being the next winner as she wins the lottery. And before they cut to commercial, everybody's hugging and reacting and all of that. So these scenes, the park, the conversation, Motel 12. What you thinking? What your thoughts?
These people are dumb. These people are dumb. We have slid at least 11 times. Or I'd say 15 at least. These people have been sliding forever. And I get the car. Like, I'm good with that because, like, oh, it's a free car, whatever. And then I know this is in the 90s, so you're not going to get all the details like, okay, sir, do I just turn it in here? Like that don't bother me. But the ease at which I'm good with them having a day to like relax, because I think that is definitely needed. Um, I did enjoy that park scene. I like the almanac. I liked all of that because I do feel like it lines up with the characters so far. It lines up with Quinn. The only thing that I didn't really believe is that Quinn don't know how to ride no horse. We saw trophies and surfboards and Mardi Gras mask and
Mardi
hip
Gras.
hop jerseys. You could do everything. Every white man, every man. Like I don't believe this shit. But I get. I get we need to get from point A to point B, so that was fine. Um, the professor to me is becoming one note, and I don't like
Mhm.
that. I got a little bit more of him when it was him and his wife or his
Yeah,
dead ex who was alive in that world, and that
yeah.
felt good. But the depictions of him as a slider is the same depictions we're getting of him as his alternate version in other
Mhm.
worlds, and it's always this like megalomaniac,
Yeah.
evil caricature, and I don't like that. And yes, I got my critiques about him, but like I don't like that for the character either. Just like I
Mhm.
didn't like that bullshit for Rembrandt. Um, but their little joking comic relief moment was really good. Like I thought if we're going to have these two together fishing,
Mhm.
the American versus the Englishman, and he's so smart, like that was fine. I enjoyed all of that. Quinn and Wade, they are pissing me clean the fuck off. I said we
And
weren't
going
going to
back to
do
your
this.
favorite part of this this storyline,
The worst,
will they?
what
Won't they?
storyline? That
The
has
will they?
never been a
Won't they?
thing. What's pissing me off more than anything is that Quinn, for all of his intelligence, like I'm going to buy what they're selling for a
Mhm.
minute. You are so intelligent that you were able to create a device that opens up a wormhole to jump from Earth to Earth. You are essentially you in every universe with slight variations. From the first episode, a version of you put his tongue down this woman's throat. If that wasn't enough for you to be like, okay, I don't particularly like her, but I have to be open to something that might be there because
Mhm.
I did this to her. Like I kissed her. I shared this experience with her, and her of my world wasn't disgusted by it. So even
Yeah.
though I might not saying he has to be with her, but I feel like this storyline, if I'm supposed to accept that, oh, they will, they won't, they. Quinn is a dummy who ain't really. He got her killed in one world, like you know what I'm saying. Like he's not. I don't know. I don't like this being kind of shoehorned in as this look, they were almost together. And what it feels like to me is a symptom of the days before streaming, where if you missed it,
Mhm.
you missed it. And so if I'm watching this show every week, and let's say I miss episode 4, people can probably tell me about like, oh, you missed this and that. But
Yeah.
when this pops up, because I'm only watching week to week, I might be like, damn, maybe that in episode 4 they got kind of close. I don't know. But streaming, there ain't been but maybe
No.
2 or 3 instances of some weird like we've always gotten the end of an incident and not the progression of this love, will they, won't they. So it felt cheap. It felt like y'all are siblings at this point. What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I didn't like that, but I equally didn't like the idea of let's stay here because her, Rembrandt, and the professor have had different worlds where they were like, "Oh, I'm going to stay here," and I'm not mad at that, but this is why I say they're dumb. You don't know, like the other shoe has to drop. You don't know if
Mhm.
there's a version of you in this world already. You ain't went to seek out family or friends. You want this place based off of this like need to relax, and I get that, but like for all the shit I can say about Quinn, I think he was thinking
Mhm.
with its fucking head. Like we don't know what this world has to offer. You don't get nothing for something.
Mhm.
Why are we not investigating this lottery? We can investigate the almanac and figure out what's what, but we're not trying to figure out why the hell you get all this money for free. So I don't know. I just think that's dumb, and it doesn't seem to line up with her character so far. To
No,
me,
the thing that comes to mind is you ever watch the Simpsons Treehouse
hmm
of Horror
yeah,
or Treehouse 4. So I think it was the first one they did when they got picked up by the aliens. And their Lisa finds out that the aliens are fattening them up to eat them. And so she holds a book that says how to eat humans. And then the alien says, wait a minute, there's space dust on there. And so he blows it and it says how to cook for humans.
Yeah.
And then Lisa blows it again. Is how it says how to cook 40 humans.
Yeah.
And then they blow it one more time. And then he says more space dust, how to cook for 40 humans. Right. So it's like, so it's this thing of like pushing ahead with trying to find the truth. Right. And in this case, nobody does that except the professor and Quinn. Like the professor actually actively voices his concern. But Quinn, like you said, Quinn is like, nah, we need to keep sliding because this don't seem right. So
yeah,
it's weird. So I just this whole in between conversations, things that we have been missing, I don't like it. It's like what you say in comics, in the gutters.
yes.
Like this is some in the gutter shit.
What?
Yeah, it was weird. So she wins the lotto. I think it's the next day. We show them in a limo. So we got one day down on this world and a second day. Things move fast, right?
Yeah.
So I will say I do like how the episode is paced, but it is definitely everything's kind of happening pretty fast. So they are in the limo with this guy. I cannot remember what his name is, but he's this white guy. I think a representative of the lottery. I call him the chaperone because he's kind of taking them around and showing them, explaining to them what's going to happen and all of this. So all 5 of them are in the limo, and he's passing her pamphlets to read and paperwork, which that shit don't get read. The pamphlet gets read by Quinn, but she's like, whatever. So this is where he explains the white card, which will allow her to buy whatever she wants. All she has to do is present it. I guess it's like their version of the platinum card, except it's just like, in forever, well, let's not say forever. And so it's funny because I think she says something like, I've never ridden in a limo before. And then he says, Miss Wells will be riding the limos for the rest of her life. So I will say, if we hadn't got that ominous ass thing at the end, the AMC, the ATM at the ATM, this would have worked perfectly.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that can be taken either way. Like she's going to be riding limos for the rest of her life. So so she I said no one's reading paperwork. Apparently he mentions that the last poor person stopped being poor like a few days ago, or like a month or so back. They explains the white card privilege, and then we got the montage, them shopping at different places. For all the moaning and griping he was doing, the professor is helping her buy jewelry. They're buying, outfits, cars, which doesn't make another appearance in this episode. Like Rembrandt helps her buy a car. And so then at the end of the montage, we show them at I guess at a fitting at a clothing store, like a high scale, high class clothing place. And models are walking out wearing dresses because apparently they're going to like a ball for the lottery winners. And Remy and Wade are like, talking about the different outfits. And, Remy is like, hey, you can buy them all. And like, I do like them in this scene because they seem to be kind of kicking it and having fun. Quinn looks bored as fuck. He's just like, he's done. And like I said, Remy and Wade are hanging out. And then the chaperone walks in with Julianne, the lady that we saw one of the other lottery winners. And Remy is just like, okay, let's go. I felt that this one was actually not as creepy, not on his part, but I mean, he felt he was an attractive woman and he wants to get to know her better. So he goes and offers, says, let's, can we get another seat for her? And then Quinn offers his seat because he's leaving. So Wade follows Quinn, and Wade is like, hey, can you stay? And he's like, I don't want to spend my day, getting an outfit, and he's upset. He's obviously upset about something, and she kind of asks, kind of digs a little bit more, and he says that there's something up with this. Essentially what you said earlier. You don't get anything for nothing. You don't get something for nothing. She calls this world a utopia, and he is worried that she wants to stay. And he just decides to go, and she asks, will you be at the ball? And he says, I'll be there, or whatever, I'll show up. So then we go to the lottery winners ball later that night. Actually, the guy's name is Nesser. The chaperone's name is Nesser. So Remy he's Julianne's date. They're dancing, hanging out, talking. The professor is Wade's, I guess, chaperone or her date, and because Quinn hasn't shown up. And one of the things that I think the professor notices is there's a lot of security. And one of the people mentions is either Nesser or Ryan, this guy who shows up, but that there's a lot of right-to-lifers who are protesting the event outside. And once again, nobody asked any questions. So, like that, this is the second or third time that this name has popped up. But the professor is like, there's a conversation that we'll get to later. But Remy is just so caught up. I make a lame joke like Usher, from the so Remy is trying to light it up with So I'm gonna tell my wife I made those two jokes, and then she's gonna say stop.
Oh no, stop. Keep it going.
But and Nesser is trying to get. He asked Wade to sign these forms. She ain't reading shit because guess what? Ryan has showed up. Ryan is another lottery winner from this world, and I guess he's been, because Wade looks nice. Like everybody is kind of dressed to the nines. He asked her to dance. He said, "Can you sign those forms so we can dance?" And I'm like, "Dude, don't rush her." But I guess in his mind, he's like, "She knows what's up." So Remy, they show Remy and Julianne dancing, and he says, "I'd like to spend the rest of my life with you." And this is kind of him kind of laying it on. Wait, no, she says that to him, right? Yeah, she says that to him.
Yes.
Because I think that's another kind of clue, and you just think this is a sweet moment, and I think, and I don't know if this is where the offer for something more it happens. No, there's a conversation. I'll just say it here. They have a conversation where Julianne is just like, "Take me here," or like, "Let's," and Remy is like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, because in her mind, what's about to happen is about to happen. So they show him just kind of shocked. So then we cut back to Quinn at the entrance of the hotel, and this priest walks up to him. He's one of the right-to-lifers, and he hands him a pamphlet. And Quinn already has like 5 books. Like he went to the library on this world. He was just like, let's I gotta look into this. And the guy who hands him the pamphlet says what's happening there is is wrong, it's disturbing. And then, he looks through their pamphlet rather, so comparing it to, the information he got from Nesser earlier. And Julianne, that's where I said Julianne's trying to get freaky. And this is where the offer comes up, and Rembrandt's like, "Oh, okay." And so Ryan and Wade are hitting it off. They're connecting over poetry, having a good time, and they're just having their conversation. So we're kind of hopping back and forth. We see Remy and Julianne go to the backstage, and I'm just like, what? They're gonna go to the room. So I mean, it is what it is. So the professor, we go from that. The professor's talking to Nesser, the lottery chaperone, who says that he's a hypocrite, and he says he's afraid of death because he says, "I work with the lottery contestants day after day, and I'm a hypocrite because I'm afraid of death." And before that, the professor had been like singing the praises of this world and giving them their flowers and all that. And then the chaperone says this, and the professor says, "Say what?" Essentially said, "Say what?" And Spidey says tingling at this point. And so then Quinn tries to bum rush to dance because, and he's not dressed for the occasion. He's holding like 5 books and a pamphlet, and he's just like, fuck this, we gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
And so they finally see that he's on the list, so they let him in. Wade and Ryan are dancing in the back. Julianne and Rembrandt are doing what behind the stage, and the professor says something's not right. And then Quinn tells him they are going to kill her tomorrow morning. That's what this lottery is, and it's their form of population control. And that's that's the big reveal as far as for this world. So, or this utopia. So your thoughts leading up to this point?
This shit is crazy as hell. I think it well, I get it as far as the show is concerned. I think it was very irresponsible of the lottery to ride in a limo with these people and be explaining as much as they did. Because in my mind, that means that should raise a red flag that these people ain't from here. I know at the beginning by the ATM, the guy was like, "Oh, you folks from out of town?" It was like, "Yeah." And I'm just like, so I don't know if the show adequately establish if this lottery is just a California thing, if
Okay,
it's a
got you.
worldwide thing, because that's what had me a little. I was like, I mean, I get it because you want to get from point A to point B, you want to be as subtle as possible, but I was like, it's clear these people don't know what's going on, and for something of this magnitude to be like, oh, they must know, they know what's going on. It's like, I don't know, but then you also have me signing contracts and stuff. Like what? I don't know. Also, if I'm dead, I can't sue you. So, like, what's going on? That was kind of my biggest issue. But like talking through it, I know as far as pacing and story, there's only so much you're going to be able to do. I think the right to life people were in here just enough. They were in here the perfect amount. My only critique is I wish that nothing had been said whatsoever, and that when Quinn walked in and that pastor gave him that pamphlet, that's when we should have learned exactly, like anything alluding to the whole bless their soul or rest in peace, like none of that. This is because we're like halfway through the episode. I think that would have been the perfect time, because one, it's Quinn is right. He's been proven right, but like at what cost? Because yeah, you're right, but like your friend's gonna die. So all of that was good. I was okay with the professor here. Him and that man Nesser talking about I'm scared of death. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I really needed that. I mean, good for him for the screen time and whatnot, but Julian and Rembrandt, I enjoyed them. I wish we could have maybe fleshed them out a little bit more, because he doesn't really get, like, the professor got a love interest, even if it was a variant of it. He got to be this big man in charge. He got to do a lot of stuff, and we did get the Rembrandt episode, but even that, not I don't want to downplay it, but it's also like when he got his love, it was some toxic bull crap. So when we get this, where it could be a little something more, even if we still get the same ending we got, I just would have liked, he was that girl's plaything, sugar baby. Like he had all these run-ins, and to be brutally honest, it was with a lot of white women, which we love over here, but it's like this is the 90s and the optics are questionable, and then you get this woman, it's like she's whatever. But all in all, I did enjoy this. There's just certain little things that I would have changed myself. Quinn looks like a maniac. You are
I love that.
like, you look crazy. You are rushing in here, and even if I worked at the hotel and I saw you, the fact that you were stopped by a right to lifer, you're not dressed in formal attire, you're carrying these books, and then your mood is really they should have shot that man in the kneecaps. He looked like one. He looked great. He looked like, I was like, no, this is messed up. So I don't know. all in all, I did enjoy it, but there's just some things that I would have liked to have seen change, and that's
Yeah.
one of them. Yeah.
I think I'll give my thoughts on Julianne when we get to
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like Quinn rushing in the way he does is just I think a lot of folks would have been like, first of all, you had a lot of people who would have been like, let's read the room and
Mm-hmm.
play this with some tact. Other people would have been like, no, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing we got, they're still in the hotel. They're outside the ball. They finally got Rembrandt from where he was. Yeah. They not Rembrandt. Quinn says that over 50,000 people have been killed nationwide
Mm-hmm.
in their right to life. So this is, if it's not international, this is something that takes place at least within the United States. As far as that aligns with the, that this, in addition to whatever other types of, we saw the birth control in a can, whatever other methods they take to keep the population under control, they this is one of those. This is one of those things, and it's probably the most like brutal thing that they do. So the they're talking. It's like, so what's the next steps? And apparently the right to lifers aren't like crackpots or Nobel winning
Mm-hmm.
philosophers, scientists. One of the things I will say that I like is that them just referring to this group as right to lifers, you're thinking that this is like an abortion issue,
Yep.
whatever. And when
Mm-hmm.
you see the pastor, you're thinking he is, um, like we
He's a
have in our world,
mm-hmm.
people who are like, anti-abortion or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's this thing of like, that's why I feel that this is kind of in some ways, smartly written episode,
Yep.
because they have you thinking like one thing and it goes like a totally different way. So
Mm-hmm.
they have to, they're trying to figure out a way to keep Wade safe. I think if at one point Quinn says to Wade, "Do you still think this is paradise?" It's like some petty shit.
Dickhead.
And the professor, to his credit, says, "Stop that shit."
Yeah.
We gotta, like, in his way, he's like, "We gotta figure a way to get her out of here." And so Quinn is like, "Oh, I got a response. Let's fuck shit up and go to the woods." Like, he's like, "Let's hide in the woods."
Yo.
And Wade is like, "They're watching me wherever I go in this place," and now she understands why, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like prove that point, and it's not, Ryan is not watching her, but it kind of proves the point that she is like, people are, she's underneath a microscope.
Yeah.
And Ryan even says, like, to the side, she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like watching or whatever. But so Wade goes off with Ryan to, I guess, enjoy the rest of the night, or just like, chill with him until they figure out a plan. I think they decide to meet up at the hotel room. That's what they mentioned. So Remy says, like, "Can we bring Julianne?" And the professor is like, "Mr. Brown, we can't do that." And he says to Quinn, "Can you explain?" And what Quinn explains, because now we're building the lore of the timer, is that any more people that they bring on these slides will drain the energy of the timer, and it'll possibly kind of hurt it, and kind of break it or just cause it to malfunction. I was like, this would have been nice to know before the last episode of the season, but it is what it is. They drove a whole ass car in that thing, so
Man, say.
So it is what it is. But even with that said, Remy's like, I really have feelings for this woman, or I don't want to see, he doesn't want to see her die. So he's like, and Quinn is just like, "Let's do it. Let's just run to the woods." So Rembrandt goes to talk to Julianne, or at least goes back with her. We go to the bar in the hotel. The professor, he's like, "I hate it." But there's I don't know if he says it's humane. he thinks their method is more humane than how people on our world die of starvation,
Mm-hmm.
disease, um, and I'm trying to think of and people just not giving a fuck about the other person, right?
Right,
So
right.
because Quinn says something to the effect of like, how can you condone what they do? And he's like, I don't condone them murdering people, but you got to admit, like, this is that there's a certain they benefit from having less people, albeit like it's in a more horrible way. So, he says as scientists, we look at the results, sometimes, and it's just like this kind of like really kind of cryptic, fucked up way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to the ball. The chaperone or the guy he's discussing the process, the next steps to the lottery winners, and it's I will say this is where we get kind of a more variety with the ethnicities. It's not just it's like a bunch of different. Okay, like one or two. Okay, like one or two. I thought
Yeah.
I was trying to give the show something, but like one or two. They
Uh,
called in they called the casting crew. It's like we need one or two blacks and browns
bro.
and some Asian people. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so he's talking to them, and they do this panning shot where you see all the people. And the thing that you notice with at least a few of them, or at least maybe most of them, is that people are like content, right?
Yeah.
Nobody is like losing their shit, like, oh God, we about to die. And once again, maybe Remy should have read the room for that. But he goes to Julianne. He's leading with his heart, not with his mind, as something that you've mentioned, or no, not with your mind or whatever, but leading with his
Yeah.
heart, not with his mind. He says, Julianne, can we leave this cult talk and have a conversation? And she's just like, what do you want to talk about? And Remy says that I want to be with you. And I know I'm not getting the words right myself, but he says, I want to be with you. And I care about you. And then she says, oh, Remy, do you want to die with me?
Mm-hmm.
Says something, and that's just like, and Remy's like, no, woman, let me tell you about sliding. So he says it a little bit better. So then we come back to the hotel room. Quinn and Professor to their, they go from the bar back to the room. So I was like, I kind of respect that. They're not like running around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a phone call in. He thinks it's Wade, but it's Rembrandt, and he says Julianne is good with it. he says she says she'll have an open mind, and that's the other red flag. If somebody just accepts your story at face value that quick, brother, like you can't. So she says she's gonna come with. And let's stop here. A couple of scenes. Any thoughts about these few scenes?
Just silly as hell. Honestly, I didn't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of this fit together really well.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn being a fucking asshole
Yeah.
because he's in his feelings and like, all right, brother, like her life is kind of more important than this. I do like how it's established that people are watching her. Because I think this particular episode, well, every episode, but this one for sure, could very well be some like horror,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Children of the Corn, The Shining style. Like it's very. I could see how you could amp this up a little bit more, and it could be very Jordan Peele creepy.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. I wasn't a fan of Ryan. He
Mm.
just looks like a fish. Well, that's mean. He just looks
God.
like a terrible person. Like he looks like an asshole. Like smarmy. Like he does not have good intent. And that was just me. So that's my own
Mm-hmm.
personal bias. For Rembrandt, I was really pissed off. Well, I guess for me, it never felt like he was desperate for love. Not that this is desperate.
Mm-hmm.
We got the episode with him and his childhood crush, and
Yeah.
we got that, sure, but that felt like a fluke. Like I don't know if the show maybe just doesn't do love well, but I
Mm.
believe that the professor was in love with that girl.
Yeah.
I believe that. This again, I don't know if it's just because there wasn't a whole lot of time between them, but this whole I want her to be with us. It just felt I accepted it because that's what the show gave us, but it felt odd because she felt and then, oh, I don't want to say it that way. She felt like there was something wrong with her, in my opinion. There was some in a
Mhm.
way that this is the hill that I will die on, is that Brandy from Thin Line Between Love and Hate was not the villain. She was the victim. But the way that that movie positioned her to be like this slightly kind of
Mhm.
off villain, where she's not the villain, but that's how I felt about Julianne. And I was like, I don't really trust. I don't know. All I know
Yeah.
was good. I just wasn't really trusting of anyone at this point.
I think that I definitely agree that Remy, I think once they said that these people gonna die,
Mm-hmm.
he should have been like, oh, let me, don't let my immediate reaction be, let's go and try to convince the woman who has spent her life on this world to kind of break this sacred pact that they have. That was the thing, and I'll say this before we get to her scene, the
Mm-hmm.
big scene with them, is that the reason I kind of accepted that she's lived on this world, right?
Correct.
And
Mm-hmm.
so this is the, I hate to put it like this, Lord forgive
Mm-hmm.
me, because I'm about to reference cults,
Oh no.
cults.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she drank the Kool-Aid, just like an infamous cult here has done before. And there have been some of us, not many
Yeah.
of us, who have subscribed to the ideas of cults,
Mm-hmm.
um, and have literally drunk the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
In some cases, in that case, they were forced. In some cases, some people were forced to do it, but there were
Mm-hmm.
also people that willingly have done that. But we also know that um, there have been brothers and sisters who have kind of followed those ideals
Yep.
to their detriment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in this case, I think anybody in this world who decided to kind of go along with it, it's just like, this is what you've grown up,
Yeah.
kind of living with. So her angle on this, I don't think I kind of I hate to say this, I vibed with, I
Mm-hmm.
understood. The one
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't, and we'll get to it, is Ryan.
Okay.
Because him making that like snap decision when he hadn't really established before that, okay, I'm having an issue with this. That's the one where I had an issue, with that, with how his story progresses. Um, but the downside to immediate, what ultimately happens with Julianne is that this is the only time we got a sister for Remy, and this is the way that it ends.
Right.
But yeah, but like I said, knowing how cults work
Mm-hmm.
in this world, I just I kind of figure she was just one of the people in that room, and he should have read the room better.
Yeah.
He should, I so that, but because like you said, we're telling the story that we're telling, and we get a perspective of somebody who is kind of really involved in this. Like
Mm-hmm.
Remy dates somebody who is like, let's go for
Yeah.
death,
Yeah.
so and it's sad. It's sad. I mean, this is the second episode in a row where Remy does not get what he wants, you know, and it's kind of ripped away from him, like literally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the next thing we see, a hotel outside. Ryan is falling for Wade. Wade, I think they kiss. Wade says that they are moving too fast, and she decides to. This is the second time this has happened. She decides to tell him about sliding. Ryan is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Death is the word. Word is the death. That type of shit. He's like, this is the Kool-Aid, we gotta drink it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you need to stop saying this, talking like this. He asked, are you a right to lifer? Because he thinks that she's just making up some shit so that she won't
Mm-hmm.
have to do what she needs to do. I mean,
Right.
like what they feel that she needs to do. And she says, no, this is legit. And he says, wait, um, for the people, if you decide to leave before tomorrow morning, they will make you pay in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it sounds as if the death process, if you go through this, is relatively painless.
Yep.
But he was like, your punishment will be, they will fuck you up before you are fucked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so then they hear sirens, And Ryan says, "Have you told anybody about this aside from me?" And she's like, "No." And he starts walking away. He's just like, "Wait, just chill on this shit. Just like don't tell anybody else." Like he is worried about, especially when he hears the police roll up. So, or at least in the distance. So his question about have you told anybody should at that point, once again, Spidey sense tingling for the people watching the episode, because somebody did tell somebody. And we're about to find out. So Remy goes to get Julianne, and as he steps in, there are two cops or detectives, lottery detectives, I think they call them,
Yeah.
hiding, and they take him into custody. And she actually called him. She says, "I called the police. I turned him in." She says, "You were delusional, and I'm not fucking up this bag for my family." So
Right.
that's the other part of this that we also have to consider, is that any of her winnings are going to go to her family members, to her beneficiaries, as because I think like the $5 million. I don't know if they get the white cards for life. That would be actually pretty cool,
Yeah.
but they at least get the 5 million, and I guess whatever money she might have had. So when they put him in handcuffs, she's like, "I'm trying to help you," and then he says, "This is your idea of help." And I actually liked his delivery of that line, because he's just like, what the fuck. And they so we go back to the room with Quinn and the professor. They hear the police. Quinn is just like, "Let me go see if I can find Remy and Wade." And then we go to what I call the death room in the hotel. It's just like something out of a 90s music video, like I'll Be Sure or some shit. Like, silk curtains, or not silk curtains, but like lace curtains, just like bed, candles all around. I think there are rose petals or something on the bed. And Julianne is dressed in, I want to say it's like a negligee or whatever, like she's whatever, but it's like this kind of outfit that she's going to fall asleep in. So there's a doctor off to the side, kind of working on something, and the cops bring Rembrandt in, and they step out, and they uncuff him, and she talks to him. She's like accepting that, this is kind of where she's at. She's good. She's cool. She is, and it's like, and it's creepy. It is a creepy performance, and and the sister knows how to act. Like I think I've seen her in other stuff, but it's a creepy performance. And then she says that love lives forever, after saying all this stuff. And Rembrandt, they have a conversation back and forth, but the doctor brings over this concoction, or that she's supposed to take, and she drinks it. They call it the death juice. And she the only thing, once again, because we're rushing, that the death is super fast. Like it is excessively fast. And that would have been the thing where I would have liked to have seen, like, if this is the direction we're going, not have it be like so quick, would have like given him a moment with her. And it's just sad, she dies. She dies. So the cops come in, and they essentially tell him that she was the only thing kind of keeping him safe, because they're going to take him to the municipal processing center, and he's essentially going to pay in pain for trying to they think he was trying to kidnap her. So so that's that. So these few scenes, any thoughts? Because I know this is a big one. This is a major part.
Not really. I'm with you. I do believe that her rationale, her reasoning was fine, and it made sense. I didn't even have to get some terrible story about how poor her family. Like, I don't care about that. Middle class, whatever. The one thing though that I do wish this show would have given us was insight into the everyday finances of these people, because if everything is so cheap, and take the ATM out of the equation for a moment, do I have a regular, like, do I go to work and get paid and get my, because like it seems like then if that's the case, the ATM is excessive because prices are already low. and every amenity known to man is pretty much at your fingertips. So it felt a little odd to me, and I don't, I can accept it and just move on with the episode, but that was really in the back of my mind this whole time. Because I'm like, yeah, you're leaving that money for your family, but what does that matter when like oranges are 5 cents, cars are free?
Yeah.
This version of the world, the concept of greed probably still exists, but Ryan, what he like swam with the whales and clown might ever like he did stuff. It seems like quality of life is more important. So I don't know. There's something there. I don't really have the words for it exactly. But to your point, I think the death was really quick, and I wonder. I looked it up, but I wonder how much of this episode may have been influenced by like Dr. Kevorkian. Because thinking about the professor's conversation, I'm kind of with him where, yeah, you may not think that this is the greatest idea, but someone deciding to make this decision versus dying of hunger, being impoverished, having to rob, steal, and kill to get food and shelter is very different from me knowing I'm sacrificing myself so that my family has $5 million in a world where cars are free. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like so I think that's where I'm a little confused, but that's more my 2025 mind trying to wrap my head around this. But honestly, that was cool. I don't like Ryan.
Yeah.
Him and Wade having their little moment made me actually very anxious because I was waiting for him to then be like, "Gotcha, heifer, you're going to jail." Like I was just waiting for that to drop. To me he wasn't an ally. He was like, "Don't fuck this up for me." But it's also like you're going to die. Like I don't. So I don't know. All in all, I think the Jack Kevorkian thing was the one thing that kind of sat in the back of my head for some of this because it's the 90s and the big thing about assisted suicide. So I don't know. Yeah, the death thing in this I don't know, seal video room or
Rose.
Tyrese or something. This was she, like you said, she did her part. I just don't understand, and this is me. If Rembrandt and the professor was whooping ass in that courtroom a couple episodes ago, how do you let these men handcuff you again and not whoop their ass? How are you not fighting for dear life? But that's just me.
We wouldn't have got one of my favorite scenes from the episode if that happened.
Oh God!
I'm gonna tell you that goofy shit that happened. So we're back at Wade actually finally shows up to the room, and the professor is just yelling at her, being the professor, like, "Where you been? This and that. What British? I hate." Yeah. And Wade says we have to walk the dog, and she tries to say it calmly, and then because he keeps talking, and then she yells it, and then she points around the room, and something like they might be, indicates they might be listening. I might be bugged, and then the professor's like, "Come on, Henry, let's go for a walk." Da 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 da. And so he and Wade go out, and Wade tells him about what Ryan said about pain and pain and da da da, and they gotta they're just worried. And as they get to the front of the hotel, they see Remy being taken into this police van, or like this transport van, and Quinn walks up at that moment because he said he was looking for Wade and Rembrandt, so they obviously found them. And Quinn tells Wade, "If we don't get here, slide without us, because you're the one that they're looking for." This is one of the things I actually like, because it was this thing of, okay, I'm just saying, like, he just gave it. He's like, we ain't all going to get trapped here, so somebody should go. But he gives her the timer and basically says, "Go hide in the ballroom." I hate to say this, in the same area where Julian and Remy were getting it on, because she is right in that same area. So when she went back there, it's like, oh, it smelled like sex in it.
Oh no!
It's just like,
yo,
because she's in the same spot.
Yeah.
anyways, so Marvel and DC, if you watch this, ain't gonna work apparently. So please stop. Shit, they not responding anyways. But Wade, he says, she says, okay, he gives her the timer, and he and the professor go to rescue Remy. So Rembrandt is, and then we see from the perspective of the transport where he's inside, he's handcuffed, he's just, he's worried, obviously. There's this eerie ass video that's playing, and it's talking about dying in afterlife, the afterlife, and the journey, and Remy is losing it, and which I think in this case is very appropriate, because he thinks he's about to pay in pain. And he's just ranting and raving and just like kind of losing it. And they get to the municipal processing center. And at this point, the protesters, what do they say? After the club, it's the after party, and after the party, it's the hotel lobby. Yes. So they go from after the hotel will be protesting at the ball, it's the municipal processing center. After the municipal processing center, it's back to the hotel again. So these people just kind of switching it up, right? They protesting everywhere. Maybe they heard about the brother who got arrested, and they was like, get in your free cars, and we gotta go protest. It was just like, because guess who's there? The pastor, the priest is there. The protesters, they pull up, the protesters surround the truck and the van, and they just like they're like, save this man, not save this man's life. They're just protesting the whole the lottery and what happens in this place, because apparently this is a well-known place where people go to die. Maybe some of their fellow right-to-lifers have been there and have been killed, which is disturbing. So Remy just says like, what's going on? I'm like, brother, like, just run with this shit. So then Quinn and the professor pull up in the public car, and then Quinn, just like in the British episode, he just starts saying, my friend is in that van. Y'all need to fuck that shit up. Let's go. And then the priest comes down. He's like, yo, let's go. And then the priest, gets riled up, and he's like, we got to save that brother. And whatever. And then the professor says, I marched on Selma, and then whatever. And so they start fucking the truck up. And then one of them takes a bat to the back of the window, and they pull Remy out. And the cops up front that arrested him are like, they're calling for backup. I'm like, where the fuck were the cops at in this place? Like, this is just like, hey. So they pull him out and get to one of my favorite parts of the episode. They get Remy, they get in the car, pull out, almost hit a protester. The protester barely jumps out of the way. And then they hit a car, and they do this like ADR. Like, I don't see Quinn say this shit. I'm sorry. I think he recorded this after the fact. Where the professor, somebody says, now we have to run to the hotel. And then I think Quinn says that. And then the professor says, next time, let me drive. And then they running back to the hotel. And I was just like, why not just let them drive there? Just like, it was this weird thing where they pull Remy out. They show the shot of the protesters. One woman, I don't think she even knew where she was. And then they show them in the car, almost hit this man. And to the man's credit, he does say, what the fuck did y'all just do? Yeah. Like, he yells at them. And then they have to run back to the hotel because they're playing up this like final moment type of thing. And I'm like, you still could have gotten that if they drove. You didn't have to crash the car. And so we go back to the hotel. Wade is, I'm sorry, this would have been a moment where I said, fuck this dog. Yeah. She's hiding in the ballroom, and I know the reason why they kept him is so the dog can bark. The damn snitching chaperone is like looking for her because like he's like, we gotta kill her. He doesn't say that, but I was just like, so what? You didn't see her in her room, so whatever. So they find him and one of the cops because the dog barks. They pull her out of the from behind the stage, and then who shows up for no apparent fucking reason? Ryan. So Ryan, who has apparently accepted his death because he had been traveling around the world doing eat, pray, live
Mm-hmm.
to death, is apparently has accepted that, you know what, Wade talked to me about this, YOLO, just let's, because I want to live now.
Yeah.
And he takes a fire hydrant. I think he fucked this cop up. He hits him in the
Yes.
head, like this man has a concussion. I can see why he stood up just shooting. And then like he hits the man in the face, hits the chaperone in the face, and he's like, "Wait, let's go." I think he said something like, "You better be telling the truth." And you know, and then she says, "My friends aren't here." And then Quinn runs in, and he's like, "We're here now," and they're running. Rembrandt still has a cuffs on. The professor is, you know, ducking and rolling like he did with the car in that episode. But no, he's running. But before I have people thinking that, and so they open up the portal, and I think Remy jumps in first. The professor, somebody throws the dog or jumps with the dog. Wade jumps in. Ryan is just standing at the portal going, "What? Whoa!" And he jumps in. And then the cop who got knocked in the back of the head, who should be unconscious for like 5 hours,
Man, say.
gets up and just like starts shooting all over the place. You know what he reminds me of? Like in Harlem Nights when they were just shooting that like
Yes.
ass gun. He's just
Yes.
he's just shooting, and then you see Quinn jump in, and so the lottery cops run in and they see the portal and they react appropriately because, like I said, we've had some episodes where people look at the portal and just like,
Mm-hmm.
what is
Sure,
this?
this is normal.
Yeah, and so they show they slide to this world. Everybody lands. Ryan says something like, you know, what a trip or something or whatever. And, you know, this is his first time doing this. And then Quinn stands up and then he passes out. And when he passes out, you know, they're trying to see what's wrong. And Wade reaches behind him and pulls up a hand full of blood. And then she yells. It's like this. Actually, I kind of like her scene of this because it's a wail.
Yeah.
It's a wail, and that's how the episode ends. You know, with a cliffhanger for the season. So,
Mm-hmm. This was some bullshit. I them people, them people flipping over that like I'm good with it. I'm happy. Like all that was
yeah,
cool.
allies, right? that's how you.
Truly, like
That's how
they
you
just jumped
do.
into action. They was like, "Fuck it, who somebody in there?" Okay, yeah. I I, I don't understand why the police ain't just taking them out left and right because they are a danger to what y'all got going on. Them people don't give a fuck. And I was with it. I was like, all right, that's cool. I'm with you about the car crash. It feels like that took up more of a budget than just driving. Also, like,
Right.
how far away from the hotel were we? That was also very interesting. The professor running like Sonic the Hedgehog with. I was like, what y'all look ridiculous. All of y'all. Every last one. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I was like, y'all, this is some shit. This is some. I mean, I'm gonna accept it, but like, you were driving well before this.
Right.
There's nothing that suggests that you're scared of driving. Oh, and this is so fucking dumb. Um, I I would love just a good 15 minutes of like an additional episode of just following the right to life people because they fucked that truck like, and it made me feel like they never got that violent before. They were just protest like this has to be the start of something big for those people. Like I
That
hope
would
they
have been
burning
great.
hotels
Yeah.
down. Yeah, them motherfuckers was wild. I was like, all right, well, shit. There was nuns in there dressed like
Yes.
nuns. Like I'm like,
Fucking shit up.
what is religion on this earth? Let me find out.
Yeah.
So no, but I liked it. I'm with you. Fuck that dog. Like at this point, you know you ain't taking it. Like just lock it up. It's gonna be okay. Dogs don't go
Yeah.
through the change or whatever. Um, Ryan, I'm not so mad at him being there, like in the clutch, because I think for me, I expected Quinn and him to come in and save her. So that was good for me that it was
Mhm.
Ryan instead. But it's also like I don't care about this older, thicker Adrian Brody. Like I don't care about this guy. Like get out of here, brother. Um, this was a fast moving part of the
Mhm.
episode, so I was fine with that. My issue comes in, and this is sort of a race thing. but it's also like, I guess, a what makes sense thing, because if you're introducing Julianne and Ryan as like red herrings of who's gonna be the next so and so, it's like the way you did it is weird to me.
Yes.
Because I can accept that him and Wade like each other, but this is why I think this episode should have been 2 hours instead of the pilot being 2 hours. Because if you had time to really flesh out Julianne and Rembrandt, and then Wade and Ryan as a alternate to what could be with Quinn, and had me actually like see, oh, they do good together. He wants a family, but he knows that shit gonna end soon. So this is he can live in his fairy like that would be cool. But like y'all dance, he forced you to sign your death contract. Like he essentially was Joe from You, Netflix's You. Talking about, yeah, I saw you at the lottery and I've been watching you. Like, brother, relax. Like, okay, thank you, weirdo. I'm glad that police officer got that shot off, and I hate to say that because I'm not a big police advocate, but like I was so happy he got that shot off, because like all this shit going on, we ain't never really faced no real consequences. It's always been the other version of yourself that's been, and a lot of it has been at the hands of them coming in just fucking stuff up. I was so glad he got his lick back, because like y'all deserved, one of y'all deserved to get hit. So I don't know. All in all, I was seeing Ryan jump through versus Julianne, which, like, if you're thinking about it, if we're talking about an extra body, recalculates, whatever, Julianne was like all of 140 pounds. Ryan is a smooth 180. He's a smooth, like, I'm not going to say full 200, but like 193. That's a big dude. He's tall, and he's, he's he's a man in the 90s. That he taking up more space than
He's a
Julianne
man
was.
in the 90s.
Like he's a Rob Liefeld drawing. Like I'm like, get this motherfucker out of here. So, like,
it cuts off before the feet.
I mean, it did. They cut him off that's how he got through. I was like, this is fucking dumb, man. Like I was so I am going to rate and do all the stuff that we do for this episode, but I may wait until like maybe I watch another one and kind of see how I feel about how it's handled. But I was like, man, this is some bullshit. Like I wish he had a got shot. You want to jump in and play these games, and you the one that hit that man in the head. You deserve, that's your bullet. Exactly. I was like, and I'm not even a Quinn stan, but like, don't be shooting Quinn. It was so bad, but I mean, all in all, it was good. These scenes I thought did really well. It was a little campy, a little like cartoonish at points, but that's par for the course. Like it's a lot of shit moving around, and then you see a portal just open up. But to like let some rounds off in that portal was wild, because like, you don't know. I was like, boom, boom. What if they like circle back? You don't know what you're shooting at.
Right. So his vision could have been like blurry. He just let them loose because he was like, fuck this. Boom, boom, boom.
And your colleagues are like all around you. Like you could have killed that man. He was definitely, what is it, Barney Fife? That man, he was like, I don't know. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Working the night shift with the death watch.
Man,
the thing you bring it up as far as Julianne and Ryan. If they were going to go with, so both of them seem just as committed to this idea of death, because this was their world, this is what they had accepted. I would have preferred that Julianne be the one to make this like rash decision, because first of all, you get some more minorities in here, which we need. So Rembrandt finally gets a love interest, which I think could naturally develop more than Quinn and Wade. In addition to that, you have another woman on the group. You know, so because we have now, I always say this with superhero teams, like the Avengers, when we had the first movie, it was a bunch of dudes and one Natasha Romanoff. Like, you know, it's just like you didn't balance that out. And it's always like that with these ensemble casts. It's at least in the 90s. And now to a certain extent. Like you have more men than women. So it's just like you get a sister on there and you have another woman, so and it also just kind of grows the group, a bit more, by I guess by one additional person. So
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have had, I feel, Rembrandt being a comedic relief,
Yeah.
it's for a number of reasons. I felt that if they were going to make this without this about face with one of them, I wish it had been, her,
Yeah.
so for a few reasons, but it is what it is. That's my Sliders fanfic, right? What if it had been Julianne,
Yeah.
um, to go, but yeah. So what I guess let's go through, like, who's your favorite character, least favorite character of the episode?
Um, that's kind of hard because everybody. I have my gripes about the professor, but I truly did like the role that everybody occupied in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I just had to pick someone off the top of my head, I probably would go with that priest because he was
Mm-hmm.
about his business. He wasn't fucking play. Like he was just like, "Oh, your friend in there? Yeah, we got this." He was like, "Oh, read this." That like he was really
Yeah.
like, and out of all the extras, like homeboy was like, "Oh, God rest their souls, those high rollers." Like he wasn't on some weird, even like
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't want to go with him. I want to go with one of the main four, but Quinn was an asshole to some extent. Wade, whatever. Forget Rembrandt. I that's kind of a difficult because I feel good and bad about everybody. Like the same way I feel.
Mhm.
Nobody has me feeling like they were just shitty, terrible people.
Yeah.
Like the professor was an asshole, but that's him. Like he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing nothing extra heinous. Um, shoot, I will. I'll probably go with Rembrandt though, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like a lot of his cartoonishness that we got, like you mentioned, it was
Yeah.
warranted in the back of that van. He had a chance at love. He's coming off of like losing his dream and then running into a woman who he has access to. We
Mm-hmm.
know he's genuine and it ain't about money because one, he didn't know about the murder stuff, but he also was like legitimately for her. And talking through this with you, I think his reaction to being betrayed
Mm-hmm.
did feel very genuine. Like shit, we could be together. Like
Mm-hmm.
even when she went through the process, it was like you don't have to do this. And he has a lot of trauma. But I'm probably going to go with Rembrandt for my favorite. I'm going to go with him. Um, shit, least favorite would have to be honestly everybody affiliated with the lottery because
Yeah.
I just feel like I know what we did for the sake of the episode, but it just felt really um it felt irresponsible the way a lot of this was handled. Like if I'm thinking this is real world stuff, this is
Mm-hmm.
a real thing that exists, just the way that it was just very irresponsible. It was very sloppy for like this series of murder
Yeah.
lottery things you got. It just I'm like, y'all have been doing this for a while. You ain't got this down pat. Like
Yeah.
this, I feel it was clumsy. So it may be a bit of a bending the rules, but everybody, I'll just blame it on Nesser. I'll blame it on him. I'll say him. But by
Gotcha.
him, I mean everybody, the
Yeah.
police, the
Yeah.
lottery
Maybe a
police,
little
all of them. They calling for backup. Why did you not have a police escort when you was driving him? That's why I think this was the first time that the right to life people really got violent. Because how
bit.
you don't have an escort? Yeah, so I'm blaming Nesser. Nesser, my least favorite. Fuck him.
They thought they were still at the hotel.
Gotcha, bitch. Surprise.
You
Nah.
give us these free cards. That's what we're gonna do with them.
Oh my
Um,
god.
the so as far as my favorite, uh,
See?
yeah, so for me, it's like a toss up
Mm-hmm.
between Julianne and the priest.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
um, Julianne, because I felt that the actress did a good job playing that role.
Mm.
So no matter like kind of how we felt about her
Right,
decisions,
right.
um, about them ripping away a love interest, for Remy and the optics, because we've been asking for black women on this show for a minute. So
Hey,
um it's like, I tell you, man, we do this concept now, it'd be totally different.
absolutely.
Like certain decisions.
Mhm.
And the priest, I felt that, he was um I'll double up with the two of them.
Yeah.
Because the priest in those two scenes, and especially with the first one, I felt did enough where he exemplified the desperation of that movement.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like he was just like, we don't know what to do. Like, we're
Mhm.
protesting. We got a lot of smart motherfuckers who don't believe in this, but
Mhm.
like on our world, they don't listen to us.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So those two, as far as like least favorite, uh, the person who was like, may God have mercy on their souls or whatever
Bruh.
he said. Yeah, like that was a bit too much. Like the two guys, I always say, like Quinn wearing like 5 shirts and a jacket, because it was the 90s. Those two could have
Yo.
been handled a little bit better. I just like the exposition on the show. It gets kind of weird.
Mhm.
Um, so favorite scene, least favorite scene.
Oh, that's a little difficult too, because favorite scene. That's gonna be a little hard. I might go with the riot scene. Is it,
Mhm.
well, I'm kind of torn between the riot and the actual final jumping through the portal scene, because I thought they were both good. I just liked that those right to life people, at least for that moment, got to whoop some ass. Like, y'all been beating them down
Yeah.
forever, and they finally got to get their lick back. Um, I'm probably gonna, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna let that be that, because we got Rembrandt was free. They got to whoop some ass. They got to tear up some property. And again, I
Mhm.
feel my headcanon is this is the first time they got violent,
Yeah.
and I hope they continue and they keep whooping these motherfuckers' asses and burning them hotels down. Um, my least favorite, my least favorite. Damn, I'm all talking all this shit and I don't even have one off the top of my head. Um, I don't want to go to that ATM scene. That just pissed me off.
Mm.
But it would have to be, though I thought it was a good scene, is Rembrandt riding in the back of that car. Because again,
Mm.
I'm going to, I understand that this is a show. I understand everybody gonna go through some shit, but you already took this man's black love away from him. Good reason, because she's from here. But then you got
Mhm.
him chained up and in the back of this damn car with this Get Out style video playing, and it just that whole. And again, I do think that was a well done scene. I'm not critiquing. I still like it. Two things could be true at once, but I was just like, this fucking, what is it? Megula? What was it? Coagula? What is it? And Get Out? Whatever that shit was. Yeah, that whatever that shit was. Yeah, my daddy real with Jackie Brown. All right. Yeah. I didn't like that, because the
Mhm.
optics were just weird to me.
Weird.
Like,
Yeah.
what do we do? You have three black people. Rembrandt, what's her name? Jacqueline. What's her name? Julie. God,
Julia.
Jacqueline. Who was that? And then that one black lady who was in the number when they did that panning shot, and she was like, "I'm the sound lady. Why am I right here?" But okay, like that one, like, I'm like, bro,
the
what are we
one
doing?
the one black lady I thought represented like 10 black
Hey,
and brown
that was
folks
the
in that
purpose.
scene.
That was it, because I ain't see no Asian. Now I might be mistaken, but I didn't see not one Asian. There may have been a white
Yeah.
Latino in there, but I don't know, brother. But yeah, so I'd have to say that scene in particular, because like, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing,
Yeah.
fuckers? What about you, man?
Um, you got me looking up her IMDb. Julianne, her name was Alex Datcher.
Mm,
Yeah, Alex Datcher. Yeah,
okay, Alex,
she's
shout out to you.
going on to do. Yeah. So my favorite one would have been, I think. um, the um, the reveal of the lottery. You know,
Okay.
the reveal of the actual lottery, like for all of his, you know, manic looking self, you know,
Yeah.
for Quinn.
Yeah.
When they actually kind of talked out kind of what it was, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's when like the tone changed. You
Yeah.
know, it went from this like kind of lighthearted, you know, hey, this world seems good, to like, okay, this is a horror movie, like you said, you know. And
Yes.
I think you had mentioned that there were moments even
Mm-hmm.
with that goofy ass episode, The King is Back,
Mm-hmm.
where the moments with Maurice
Yes.
seem creepy.
Yes.
But this one, you know, the thing I did like about overall, and that it might be more representative, like that scene being the tonal shift, but we didn't have no humor in this, you know,
Mm.
which is something that this show hasn't done much of. But I like that the revelation and the conversation that they had, where Quinn was like, "Let's hide out in the woods
Yeah.
and punch people if need be." So I like that scene. The scene
Yeah.
that I liked the least was the part of the conversation with Wade and Quinn where they were talking about the this in between episodes um, relationship, you know, stuff. Like he said, I thought we
Oh,
were going to do this, and I'm like, when the fuck did this conversation happen? So I,
amazing.
you know, I didn't like it. I didn't like that. So those are my two favorite, least favorite.
Okay.
Out of this one's gonna be dark, y'all. Just get
Oh
ready.
no.
Out of 10 flasks of
I knew it.
death juice. Shit, at least I didn't say Kool-Aid, because
Oh man.
that would have been worse.
Oh man.
Out of 10 flasks or vials of death juice,
Yeah.
what you think about this? Or okay, I'm sorry, let me do something a little bit more like, you know,
No, that,
lighthearted.
hey.
Either that or 10 overturned cop vehicles. It's like cop vans. Choose
That's
either one
it.
of those. You
Oh
know.
my god.
What are you rating this episode?
Um, I this is difficult because I don't think it deserves a 10, but it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Not without its faults, but none of the episodes have been without them. I honestly, even though I talk shit about some of this, I'm probably going to go. I hesitate to say it out loud. I'm, I really feel compelled to. I don't want to say give it a 9, but I'm kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm it be, because there are critiques, but I think even in the stuff that we're critiquing, like, oh, God rest their souls, may they rest in, like
Mm-hmm.
that shit. It to me, it harkens back to the '90s, where it's like
Yeah.
this comes on once and it's done. So like I have to relay certain messages, even though it could be a little heavy handed. This was also the time where you had the very special gay episode and the
Yeah.
very special guns
Yeah.
episode and the very so
Mm-hmm.
like I want to give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a solid 9 vials of death juice and or 8 vials of death juice and one overturned cop car.
There you
So
go.
9. Point one murder bullet. Point but so it was that 9.5. No, but nah, yeah. I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna lock that
Okay.
in. I'm gonna lock
Okay.
that in.
Um,
Oh.
I I told you, like, this is one of my favorites, you know, because I
Mhm.
think that this ties very well into the kind of the sci-fi side of it,
Yeah.
more of the social commentary,
Mhm.
philosophical thinking, you know, that conversation between the professor and Quinn. Like, I like those conversations, you know, like when Wade was getting in, you know, the professor's ass about, like, this is a world where we ain't got the
Mhm.
typical bullshit where I have to deal with it, you know. That's when Sliders works for me. I
Yeah.
love the adventure side of it, but I do think like the social commentary and I'm a Trek fan. Like, you see the Star Trek, blueprints behind me for the Enterprise. That's the type of sci-fi that I really enjoy. So this, out of, I think, most of the episodes of this season, we got that. We got more of that in a very dark, and I like dark stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I like the way you put it, is that we're looking at this through the lens of like 2025, with you and I as writers, looking at some of the things, and as fans who love this stuff, but
Yes.
but we also have to look at it through, and I'm not saying that makes everything right, with the stuff that they've said and done, but kind of within what they were working with, like not even 45 minutes at that.
Yeah.
45 minus the 15, and then like everything has to be shortened or whatever. But all that said, I think I'm giving us a 9. I'm giving us a 9. I think, yeah, I really enjoy this, and it's funny because on IMDb, I think it has like an 8.1 out of 10 as far as like an average. So I think that we are kind of in the ballpark, but I this is what I would kind of refer people to if they want to know what Sliders is all about.
Yeah.
This is an episode, like, we always say with the 4400, it would be that
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Like, this is that for me.
Yes. You ain't got it. And honestly, to that point, I think you could have somebody start at this very episode, because it doesn't spoil anything from before. Like, if I just turn this on, for somebody and they're watching, like, oh, okay, this is good, what happens, and then I just haven't watched from episode 1. I don't think it spoils anything, but it gives you the very essence of what Sliders is. And a lot of shit happens, like a lot of stuff happens. So
yeah. And I think a lot of people, fans of this, as far as from what I see when people are discussing it, they love the humor of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it seemed like with this one, they were like, let's get away. Let's get away from that. And I think the episodes that work for me more are the ones where that's not as much of a thing. Like the one of my favorites, the other favorites, was the end of the world one. And there is little, if any, humor in that one. It's one of their darker episodes. They think they're all going to die. So, so I don't know. That's kind of where I'm vibing with. Yeah. So then, that's end of season 1. I do have a little bit of Sliders news.
Come on.
You ready? So I know either last episode or a couple episodes ago, we talked about Jerry O'Connell. He's like, he feels a reboot would work well, and he was talking about, he knows the rights are with Universal, but he's like, why Paramount should get in on this. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But recently in another interview, I guess he's just doing a lot of press because of the end of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yeah.
A really good show that I think all Trek fans should check out. It's a comedy. It's an animated comedy about Star Trek, and he's in it. He plays a character in it. He voices a character. But one of the things that he mentioned recently was he feels that if the show is rebooted, that he would want for it to pick up after season 2, and everything.
Oh, wow.
And everything post season 2 would possibly, it sounds like, would be kind of disregarded. And without giving anything away, once again, about his role and in future seasons after season 2, I think that would be a good starting point, because I think I think that would be a good starting point. But one of the things that he does mention is that he felt that the show got more action oriented after season 2. And that's something that we'll get into as we move further along with it, because I do agree with him. Like how we are loving the kind of the social commentary, the allegory, kind of the alternate history, and how that leads to like cultural changes and all that. There's a period of time with Sliders where, because of changes, kind of behind the scenes, or like at the upper management and the studios, we get a lot of action heavy shows,
Okay.
and so for him to say that specifically, I think it's very interesting, and it might be his time spent with Star Trek,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
within that universe where you have a lot of, that's Trek, so we'll see, but he is, I don't know, these couple of interviews, he's been talking it up, I mean, like he's been talking a lot about it, so maybe he will talk up a reboot, and so we'll see, but yeah, nothing definite right now.
Hey, that's all he know. He know that he got a space on this podcast. So Jerry, I know you listening. Come on to the show. Let us rap about your time spent as queen. I've been talking shit about you, but disregard that. It's coming from a loving place. I am a fan. Oh, that's what's up though. That's cool. It would be nice to get. I hate to say these words, but at the very least, I would love a movie,
Mhm.
something like give
Yeah,
us something, if not a series. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm down.
yeah.
Bring that shit on back. Um, shit, that's actually good news, listeners. Man, y'all, let us know, viewers, listeners, how you feel. Would you love a reboot as well? Would you love to see Jerry O'Connell on this show with us? Reach out to him on his social medias and let him know. Use that hashtag STTMPod. No, yeah, that's cool. So, what? Well, I guess any final thoughts about maybe this particular episode and outside of it being the greatest of all time.
Um, I like you said, it's one of my higher rated episodes. My screen is killing
Mm,
my eyes.
right.
Let's put the dark mode on because I'm old. I was trying to find something and my eyes got blinded. I
Yo.
was seeing that light that Julianne was talking
Oh
about today.
no.
Um, she said that like 2 or 3 times. Um, so sorry. Um,
Bruh.
the I really like the episode. I mean, just in general, I like this ride that we've been taking with
Mm-hmm.
doing these episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and reviewing it, and it's looking at things from a new perspective because I
Right,
got a
right.
new set of eyes. Like
Mm-hmm.
yours watching this TV
Mm-hmm.
show, um, because you like say you're new to this, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I still enjoy it. Like this
Yeah.
is, I saw somebody make a meme or a post on Instagram about Star Trek, all the shows being her comfort watch, comfort
Mm-hmm.
watch shows, and that's a bunch of Trek shows for me. But this is one of my comfort watch shows.
Okay.
I will revisit this at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I enjoy it, even the good and the bad. Just is what it is. So yeah, but no, I think I final thoughts, overall, just of the experience it's been cool, and I hope that I hope that people have enjoyed
Oh.
watching this podcast or listening to the podcast, and hopefully rewatching the show,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at it from their perspectives, and maybe they
Yeah.
agree with us and don't necessarily agree with us, and they say the sliders are perfect. No, so. But how about you, man?
Yeah, man, loved it. Loved it. Loved the journey. I loved it. Looking back on it, every single episode, critiques aside or included, I enjoyed this, and it's good to watch something where it's brand new in a
Mhm.
world where there's tons of reboots, tons of spoilers. It's good to watch something that's like, okay, I can fuck with this, and I
Mhm.
can, and I have, and I just I'm hoping Quinn's dad stays dead because I feel like if he comes back in another universe, he gonna be Magneto in some House of M type shit. Like he's just whooping ass. So no, but all in all, I've enjoyed it. This episode was really good. Again, like I said at the top of the show, I think this was the perfect episode out of the 10 that to be the season finale.
Mhm.
Like full stop.
Yeah,
Critiques included, I still think this was the best episode that they could have um had in this run to be the finale. So
cool.
those are my final thoughts, man. So I'm gonna let these people know they can find you and support you and talk sliders with you.
I'm on Instagram, Robert.Jeffrey. I was trying to find my Bluesky account before I was blinded
Mm.
by the computer screen.
Oh no.
I don't know, just like I think I'm Robert K. Jeffrey. I don't know, Robert Jeffrey Ryder. That might pull it up. Um, And then I'm on Facebook. Just do a search for author Robert Jeffrey, and my
Mm-hmm.
website is robertkjeffrey.com, robertkjeffrey.com. And
Mm-hmm.
those are probably the three places. I don't fucks with Twitter. I haven't fucked
Yeah.
with it in like a year. Um, but yeah, but that's about it. How
Okay.
about you?
Bet that. Yeah. Bluesky and tweet that shall not be named. Carefree Blurred, Carefree Black Nerd on IG and YouTube. I think by the time this goes up, the TikTok ban, if that's going to happen, yes or no, maybe so. If it's still around, Carefree Blurred on there too, or Carefree Black. I don't know. Just search Carefree Black Nerd, you'll find me. And then of course on this podcast, more stuff on YouTube. You'll see me. I'm around. I'll be around. I get down. Um, yeah. So that's I don't know. Man. I'm just it feels like a closing of a chapter, and it's not a good or a bad way. It just feels like, hey, this is it. But yeah, use the hashtag STTMPod and let us know what your thoughts are about the episode, about the show, about the season, disagreements, agreements, all that good shit. Just talk to us and I don't know, stay carefree, nerdy, geeky, and if you jump to a universe where they are killing people with a lottery, don't fall in love with one of the lottery people. Like, what is happening?
Two people fell in love in this episode.
Like, grow up. Grow up. Like, vet these people. You only here for 3 days anyway. If there was no lottery, you were still only there for 3 days. Like, what is happening? Wait till you go to a world where you're there for a month for you fall in love with somebody. What? Pissing me off. But yeah, that's it. Shit. All right. What the hell?